opinions expressed in the following program are not necessarily those of Shaw Cable Systems or of the station. Through our access policy, we provide the opportunity for community groups and individuals to express their points of view.
You are watching Lit Happens, Saskatchewan's showcase of the literary talent of the province. And this is going to be one of our most shining episodes because today we have with us Jean Freeman. And she's an entrepreneur in all kinds of different facets of the creative world of the province. But, well, first of all, Jean, welcome to the show.
And thank you for having me. This is wonderful. Coming from Regina all the way to Saskatoon for such an illustrious event. I'm very happy.
Oh, actually, and I need to say that you are the first Regina author that's made it up to tape on the show.
I am honored. I won't be the last. I know.
I get lots of inquiries and
Good.
requests, but you're the first one that's actually made the pilgrimage.
Well, that's wonderful because I know you were in Regina just a few days ago because
Yes.
you were taking part in something called Vertigo, which is a reading by local provincial authors.
Yes.
And I was just blown away. You and 3 other guys were marvelous. So
thank you.
I hope that you will come back and do more and that we will maybe come to Saskatoon and do something similar. That would be great.
Yes, actually, there's a lot of needs to be more back and forth between the Saskatoon
I think so.
authors
After
and
all, I mean, this
Regina
whole
authors.
business, not just in the arts, not just in sports or anything, but this whole business of rivalry between the two cities is a crock.
Right.
Because we are too small a province to do that. I mean, together
Yeah.
we can do wonderful things.
Yeah.
And look how many marvelous authors you've got here and further north. And of course, we've got people in the south too. So
Yeah.
put them all together, and we're unbeatable.
Awesome, and yeah, we might as well be a team.
Exactly, I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
Goodness knows it's a time for teams to pull together.
Oh.
Do we do the obligatory?
Unquestionably. I don't know if the camera can get a close up, but you have some
Go Riders,
spectacular
go Riders, go! Yes.
nail decals going
And in
on there.
particularly, I'm here to promote player number 50, wonderful linebacker who happens to be my adopted grandson, Jarrell Freeman. And so,
Nice.
yes, so Riders will do much better. Thank you. Now let's get on to books here.
Sure,
Yes,
sure.
I'm
Well-
sorry, I hate to take over your program.
You're doing great. Now, you are the author of 2 recently published children's books.
That's right, early reader books.
Yes, and they are kind of sweeping the province and Western Canada right
I
now.
certainly hope so. That's
Yeah.
a very, very generous way to put it, but thank you.
Oh, no, they are.
you.
I've seen them all over the place. So I guess my first question is, what led to this?
Well, it started when my own 3 children were very small. We always had bedtime stories, and we would make up our own bedtime stories. We would have each of us would think of something, and then you would have to put it together in a story. So you would have a pickle and a pirate and a bus. And so you would start and tell your part of the story. And then when you got to a really exciting place, then your sister would have to pick it up and she would have to go on. So anyway, it's a tradition in our family where you make up stories. And then as the kids got older, I made up older stories, but never did anything with them. I couldn't persuade a publisher that they were worth publishing. Anyway, when my grandson came along, my daughter sent me a photograph of him and the family dog, who happens to be a large chocolate lab, lying on the bed at the cottage. And the dog, of course, had most of the bed. And the child was hanging off the side. And I said, that's a dog who sleeps wherever he wants to. That led to the first book, which was, Where Does Your Dog Sleep? And having written a book about dogs, all my cat friends said, well, where's the book about cats? And that led to, Where Does Your Cat Nap?
Nice.
So nothing is ever wasted. You never know where a story will come from.
I completely agree. What kind of feedback have you got from these?
Excellent. And it's wonderful because, of course, you're dealing with, my demographic is actually not little kids. This is from birth until about age 6. These books are read by those, but they're actually read by grandparents. And so my demographic is the grandparent market. And a lot of grandparents and uncles and aunties and, proud older people do buy them. So there are, especially in the dog book, there's some jokes for the grown-ups. But my favorite story as an author is a little while ago, a young woman met me and recognized me and said, I have your dog book. I read it to my 14-month-old daughter every night. We read it before she goes to bed. And last night I said, okay, we'll read the book. And she said, no, I read it myself.
Nice.
And she did. And it's written so that kids can't, it's a question answer. Does your dog sleep in the fridge? No, my dog doesn't sleep in the fridge. Does your dog sleep in a rubber boot? No, my dog doesn't sleep in a rubber. So of course the child gets to say no a lot, which they really like at that age.
Yeah.
So that's how it all got started.
Yes, and I have the book myself. I've read it a number of times, and I love the clear, matter-of-fact, get to the point of the story. It just hits home.
And you'd be amazed how many adults have actually made that confession that they bought it for themselves or for their pet. I have inscribed a lot of books to Fluffy or to Ginger or to, yes.
Good.
So you're not alone. You're not alone. It's all right.
Awesome. Now, I'm going to ask you this because this is how we sort of
Gearing up,
stumbled
yes,
into each
yes,
other's lives. But
yes.
you are also known for your work on Corner Gas. You played the mayor's grandmother. You need to just tell us what that was like.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
It was 6 very happy seasons. After the show went off the air a few years ago, people said, well, what are you going to do now? And I said, well, pretty much what I was doing before, because Corner Gas, although it was marvelous, only meant, maybe 2 or 3 days in the summer when we shot the scenes I was in, and that was it. But of course, through the magic of cable and television, DVD.
Syndication.
Syndication, thank you. That's the word I was going for. It will go on forever. And so, of course, I could be dead for 6 years and people would say, no, I saw her just the other day. She looked fine. So it was really wonderful to be in on something that was so positive, and it was a kind of nice, not a mean-spirited production.
No.
You could watch with your parents on one side, your children on the other, and not be embarrassed for either group. So it was a real privilege, and I enjoyed it tremendously. And it was, I think it was 26 episodes out of 109 that I was in. So it was
Pretty good odds.
It was pretty good odds, as I say. It was almost 1 in 4, but then math isn't my long suit. So
Yeah. Well, I know I always loved your appearances on the show. In fact, when you and I initially met at the Sask Book Awards a few years ago, I was just drawn to you. And I think I went running right across the
It was
banquet hall
a
to meet
wonderful,
you.
wonderful response. Yes, I have to say, and it's one of those things that the writers were so good to me that I had wonderful, wonderful lines, and of course, there are people who look at me and say, "The world's biggest." And of course, that was one of the great episodes, was the world's biggest hoe. So that's so it was one of those, as Brent Butt said, flashes of lightning in a bottle. I have a suggestion, though. Brent is a brilliant, brilliant young man, and of course said that what else could he be but a stand-up comic, having been born with a name like Brent Butt? And it just occurred to me this morning that you are equally fortuitous. The fairies were around your crib when you were born, to have a name like Wes Funk as a performer and a writer and entertainer. I think you and Brent Butt should go on the road together. The Funk and Butt show.
Funk and Butt or Butt and
Or
Funk?
Butt and Funk, depending on which, who gets alphabetical order.
Yeah.
You keep that in mind. Remember, you heard it here first, all of you.
We'll drop him on Inquirer and see how
I
he
think
feels.
so.
Well, this was just.
Now, the question is, how do we get out of this?
Oh, I don't know. I think this was just such a great episode that we're going to have you back.
Well, it's been wonderful. I really have enjoyed it. And of course, people can buy the books. They're out there. While I was here in town to see you, I went to McNally Robinson. I went to Indigo, and so they have books. And of course, if you happen to be elsewhere, if you're in Regina, Chapters in Regina, the Legislative Bookstore, Legislative Gift Shop,
Nice.
the Royal Museum Gift Shop, and a wonderful coffee shop called Brewed Awakening, which also does that. So there you are. That's the commercial.
And I also happen to know that your publisher, your Nicholsworth Publishing,
Has a website.
has a
and
terrific
so
website.
That's
very
right.
easy to
That's
maneuver
right.
and
So
has them for sale.
if you are elsewhere other than Regina and Saskatoon, yournicholsworth.com.
Super.
.com. Yes, .com. I knew I'd write it down so I'd remember.
The viewers will find it. It's fine.
Thank you, Wes. This has been wonderful. I hope I can come and see you again.
It was wonderful, and I think I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to come and see me again.
Marvelous. Thank you.
That's all the time we have today for Lit Happens. If you enjoyed today's episode, you can watch previous episodes on YouTube, and you can go onto our Facebook page and like us. And I will see you next time on Lit Happens.